Now, as far as socialism is concerned, that term has been so evacuated of content over the last century that it's hard even to use.
To understand communism, its basic godless philosophy, its goal of world conquest, its insidious tactics, and its cunning strategy.
Let's give Jerry a nightmare, a real red nightmare.
Socialism has spread the shadow of human regimentation over most of the nations of the earth, and the shadow is encroaching upon our own liberty.
Yes, let us pray for the salvation of all of those who live in that totalitarian darkness.
Duplicity, deceit, treachery, and inconsistency can be effective weapons against these gullible Americans.
Let us be aware that while they preach the supremacy of the state, declare its omnipotence over individual man, and predict its eventual domination of all peoples on the earth, they are the focus of evil in the modern world.
Capitalism is good because capitalism is freedom. Socialism is bad because socialism is tyranny.
The communist fifth columnists among us are working for a world dictatorship. To accomplish this, their strategy is to undermine the confidence of our people in the American system and the principles on which it stands.
Socialism itself is tyranny. The statement of socialism is that your labor is owed to the society. The notion of socialism is that you do not own your own freedom. You do not own your own time. You do not own your own labor. You do not own your own work. You do not own the products of your own work.
This place is a lie. Everything about it is false. These models? This was not invented by a Russian. Everything on this table is as phony as the town. The rotten system you call communism.
Produce as much mayhem as possible. You can take any given person and you can analyze the multiple groups that they belong to, and then you can find one group in which they're the oppressed functional. Then it's hatred for the competent. There's no excuse whatsoever for the oppression, even if there's one division of your identity, care for the dispossessed, you're an oppressor, then you're grist for the bone-crushing mill of the Soviet work camp.
You have to use your country as the example of what socialism can do, how it can tear the fabric of a country apart.
In most countries, you've got, people call me a socialist sometimes, but no, you got to meet real socialists. You'll have a sense of what a socialist is.
Is that a proposition?
No, but well, no.
And they all ask one main question, which is, why is Angela Davis communist? This is a very hard question to answer, mainly because I don't feel I've been taught the true meaning of communism.
The core notion of, at least traditional socialism, is that what you mentioned, that working people have to be in control of production, and communities have to be in control of their own lives, and so on.
Which is almost unknown today to many American radicals. A period when Marxism was a workers' movement to a very great extent, and when it was a movement in the streets, in which hundreds of thousands of people at times could be brought out in massive demonstrations throughout the country under red flags, whether it be communist or socialist. And by the end of the Second World War, and particularly by the end of the 1940s, I literally saw this movement disappear, and disappear from history, at least as far as the United States is concerned.
What he's saying is that although he realizes that this country has kept away from him and many of our sisters and brothers the knowledge of what communism is, he wants to know about it.
That other kind of socialism that revolutionizes the workplace, brings democracy to the workplace for the first time, and says that's the way to get beyond the limits of capitalism. Its inequalities, its instabilities, its injustices.
We said that we work with anybody and form coalition with anybody that has revolution on their mind. We're not a racist organization because we understand that racism is an excuse used for capitalism, and we know that racism is a byproduct of capitalism.
Relationship of socialism to people of color. We were in Cuba, and in Cuba, of course, there are vast numbers of black and brown people, and if you compare the situation before the revolution in 1959, when there was the worst kind of racism promoted, encouraged, perpetrated by U.S. imperialists to the situation now. There isn't any point of comparison at all.
Everything would be all right if everything was put back in the hands of the people. And we're going to have to put it back in the hands of the people.
Capitalism never did that. Capitalism is a hierarchical way of organizing an enterprise. A few people, the owner, the shareholders who have the big blocks of shares, they run capitalist enterprises. The mass of us have no control at all, and they run it for them. And the way to change society to make it better is to have the people who work in an enterprise, all of them, one person, one vote, have democratic control of the workplace as just as important as having democratic control of the community in which you live, the neighborhood in which you exist, and so on.
And no matter what color you are, there's only two classes. And that's saying there's a class over here and there's a class over there. And the reason that this class over here has never did anything to get this class off its back, because this is lower, this is upper. This is the oppressed, this is the oppressor. This is the exploited, this is the exploiter. And these people in this class have divided themselves. They say, I'm black and I hate white people. I'm white and I hate black people. I'm Latin big and I hate hillbillies. I'm hillbilly, I hate Indians. So we fight amongst each other.
They have a deep, sort of fundamental outrage at the idea of a small ruling class and a large working class that don't really own anything.
This is deeply ingrained in people's understanding and consciousness and barely below the surface. In fact, it's a call for essentially extension of democracy to the industrial sphere and to communities as well.